Hello, all, and welcome to the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Fanatics podcast. I am your host, Coolbaugh. Today, I have a very special returning guest, Michael R. Fletcher. Mike, how are you doing today?
I am good. How you doing, man?
Oh, excellent, excellent. Anytime I can get some of you guys on from, Wizards, Words, and Words, it always feels really good. I'm trying to circle back to Rob. I've been trying to get Jed on for a while, but
Mhm.
like I said, like before we got recording, those Aussies, man. Anybody on
Yeah.
that side of the world has been, my son's like, nope. And they used to be my bread and butter before he was born. My wife would go to sleep. I'm like, I'm doing a podcast tonight from like 10 to 11 or something like that PM.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can, chat with him. But yeah, I was trying to actually get a hold of Dirk too. I just got so slammed the other day. I had quite a few people were actually asking me about his new co-authored series. So I thought, oh, it'd be cool to check back in with him. I haven't checked with him, I think, since like season 1, actually. And now I'm about to be on season 6 in the fall. So I thought the other day, I was like, I'll just circle back to these guys again and see what you guys got going on.
Time to get him
But
back
thank you
on.
so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us again today. I'm glad to see that I didn't scare you away the first couple of times. So we really appreciate any time you can come on and chat books and writing and stuff with us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Sweet. Well, Mike, you got quite a bit going on right now, but do you want to just kind of give us a little rundown, maybe some of the books you released, within the last couple of months, and then maybe any other news you got going on right now?
Okay. So I've got mid-December, I released Dogged, which is a standalone, kind of a murder mystery, but not really. Some people are calling it grim cozy, which I'm not super sure about, but whatever. It's set in the world of the Obsidian Path, and the sort of point of view, the main character is a war dog. So non-human point of view. Hilarity ensues. So that dropped in December. It's currently a semi-finalist in the this round of the SPFBO. We'll see what happens to it later. In April, The Lord of the Empty Mirror, which is the fourth and final Obsidian Path novel, that's going to drop. That'll be ebook, paperback on KU. Audio might be out at the same time. I can't remember if we managed to schedule this correctly or not. Knowing me, probably not. But audio is in production already. Then in August, Dust of the Dead is going to be released. Same audio, paperback, ebook on KU. They'll all drop at the same time because that one I have actually planned because it's so fucking far away. I can actually do that, kind of. That one's kind of crazy. A pile of like writer friends read an early draft, and I was able to collect sort of cover quotes from a bunch of like amazing writers.
Yeah.
And response has been kind of incredible for that one. Really excited for people to read that, except for that one person who hated it and took the time out to message me and tell me how shitty my book was.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of fun. And then Long Island Memorial, a real world horror novel taking place in Long Island. Crazy. That will drop some point later this year. It's co-written with Clayton Snyder. I think, what do we got to do? Has it been edited? I think we edited it already. I can't remember. Yeah, it's been edited. We just need to find an artist and get the cover art done. So right now we're scraping together our pennies and sort of searching for the right artist to pull off this kind of craziness.
Oh, that's awesome. That's super cool. I still want to get you and Clayton together and talk about your guys' co-author experience. I had you both on separately again, like last season, whatever it was, and just with schedule wise and stuff. So yeah, I'd love to chat with you guys at some point about that. So writing that down in my notes.
One book at the end of 2025 in December, and this year it's going to be 3.
Wow.
And they're all written and edited already, so that's for sure hard 3 releases, and by the end of the year I should have written 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, geez. Well, I want you to know, Mike, this is why I referred to you the other day in an interview that has not dropped on my channel yet as the indie version of Brandon Sanderson. And we did mention, I don't know, are you still also writing like the original drafts by hand at all, or?
Sometimes, depends on the book. So Lord of the Empty Mirror That was written entirely by hand. That was it was interesting. That was kind of fun. I threw out a lot of stuff. Like I just
Yeah.
ripped entire chapters out, tossed them. I got all excited about this one sort of plot thread and chased it for about 20,000 words and realized that it absolutely pooched the book.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
murdered the pacing. It took it off in the wrong direction. So I had to pull it out and toss it. And then Dust of the Dead, that was all that was written on the computer. No idea why. Just different books demand to be different, written in different
Yeah,
ways.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just
No, I
along
totally
for the ride.
Yeah. Well, if anybody asks, Mike, you wrote each of those, and it was like at least 1 million words by hand. Because that's what I already said, but that's okay. We can go back and, and edit it in post, as my buddy likes to say. But that's awesome. Yeah, I actually meant to ask you that before we got recording. I had heard grumblings of you and Clayton having another book together, so I thought
Yep.
that that was really exciting. So I have to give those rumor mills credit for actually being right about something for once.
Yeah, it's this I think it's gonna be cool. I think people are gonna
Yeah,
like it.
that's
Something a little
awesome.
different.
Well, speaking of
No,
rumors, just so you know, so Dust of the Dead, and nobody's really posted this, so I probably shouldn't say this, but that has been making the rounds, at least for me, like behind the scenes and stuff with who. So I don't know who you had, read them and stuff, but I heard through the grapevine that like it's got to get on my list, like immediately for this year. So I thought that that was super cool.
cool. Yeah, I
So
am completely unaware of anybody talking about it at all. So I've sent the book out to a pile of reviewers, pile of friends,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
and basically heard nothing back. So I'm
Oh,
sort of
really?
like, somewhere between, too busy working on the next book
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like spiraling into
That's
depression
so
because
interesting.
no one's reading it.
Oh, it's so
But you
interesting.
kind of, you kind of gotta, you throw it out there. You gotta keep plowing
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
I
so
should be used
interesting.
to it by now, but
Yeah. Well, I assume people got trucked like I did. Like right when you sent me Dogged, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pop this on. And I had like five other people ask me, and I was like, yeah, this is be super easy. And then yeah, my wife got a really bad concussion, so that everything for me has been like pretty much stopped. I'm like, but it's interesting to me, yeah, because I've heard so many people already talking about it. So
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
good to
if
hear.
it's yeah, like a
Like I
mix of the
said,
cover maybe, like
the
with
first people who read it
yeah,
like kind of freaked out a bit.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm
That's
hoping,
really
I'm
cool.
hoping
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's super
and the
cool.
cover, actually, so Adam Burke
Oh,
is
cool.
a painter, and I'm sure you're aware of all the AI slop covers that
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
do right now. I just I've always wanted a hand painted book cover. That's always been sort of like the dream,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're a little pricey,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and classical artists they're a different breed. They're different. So it took a while to find the right artist.
Mm,
Tried a couple of different people and just didn't kind of work out.
yeah,
And Adam just he killed it. It was awesome.
yeah.
And
It's
so that's
incredible cover.
it's an acrylic painting.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's really neat. When I got it loaded up onto the computer, like the high res version, which is I don't know like 60 some odd gig, you can zoom in forever and see like the texture and the brush
That's cool.
strokes. It's gorgeous. I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's super cool. Well, that sounds awesome. So I want to go back, if you don't mind, Mike. We'll go back to Dogged since like we said, right, that's currently in SPFBO 11, right? So in terms of Dogged, I did get through like the first three chapters so far. I gotta say, what a way to start a book. uh, super super cool. But like, and I just want to remind people, you have released, The Storm Beneath the World, with also characters that are non-human, and I know we did mention that in our last interview. So if people want to check that out a little bit more in depth for The Storm Beneath the World, please make sure you guys go to the description and check out me and Mike's interview from last season. But I gotta ask Mike, like, we talked about kind of like the bug people and things like that, insectoid people, but why dogs this time, or why dog hybrid people?
Right. So I had an idea for a short story initially, and I had the title. It was like, oh, this is the last war dog, and so I wanted to write sort of like the death of the last war dog, and I had this idea what war dogs were, and so
Mm.
I wrote that for Grimdark magazine.
Mm.
Um, they hired Colin Mace to read it to do an audio
Oh
version. You
wow.
can find that on YouTube.
Oh cool.
And it's his voice is perfect for it. This
Yeah.
sort of like gritty,
Yeah.
war dog voice. Um, and I love that story. I loved the character, and afterwards, I really want to write more.
Mm.
It just writing from the point of view of a dog was so much fun. Um, but the way the story ends, I couldn't really tell that character's
Yeah.
story. So I sort of stepped back a little bit and was like, okay, where can I take this?
Mm.
And realized they fit really well into the Obsidian Path world.
Oh, cool.
And so basically, you know, I wrote Dogged's story, and Dogged Determination is the character's full name
Yeah,
because
it's
she
awesome.
does not give up and she does not quit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was super cool. Well, I know we talked a little bit, last time, in terms of, how you, kind of wrote some of the characters, not being human, but still having some of those human characteristics for the Storm Beneath the World. So I'm kind of curious that what were some differences, right? So you have like insectoid like people, right? But then here you have like these war dogs. And I'm kind of curious, like, how did you kind of go about like the characterization for Dogged Determination or maybe some of the others. Because like right from the start, right, when you're opening up that chapter between her and then her mate, right, like you can already tell they have very different personalities. So I'm just curious at kind of how you went about like that process.
Yeah. So I like making things difficult for myself because it keeps things interesting.
No.
So I made a couple of sort of early character decisions that I would have to stick to for the entire book. The first one was war dogs do not have a sense of humor. They don't understand jokes.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so I was like, there we go. That doesn't mean the book's not funny because it
Oh, it's
is.
funny.
It's just Dogged does not understand jokes, and she can be accidentally funny, and that's fine. But she's not gonna, she's not gonna wisecrack or anything. So that was sort of like the first idea I wanted to sort of play with.
Cool.
After that, it was doing a little research into canine senses. And I was like,
Oh,
okay,
cool.
their eyes aren't the same as ours. She sees things differently, but like her hearing and her sense of smell is phenomenal. So she's very, you know, she makes a lot of decisions based on her nose and not how people look. Like she will often, she meets someone new and she will decide whether she likes them or not based on their smell. And that's it. They
That's
smell
awesome.
good. She likes them. It's that simple kind of thing. So it was really stuff like that, and then leaning into you know my perception of dog psychology.
Mm.
And I've growing up, we always had dogs around the house.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we bred Alaskan Malamutes, sled
Oh,
dogs.
cool.
So there were times where we'd have like 8 or 9 dogs, puppies like running around. It was chaos. So I am familiar with dogs.
Yeah, you had your own band, right? Like you're
Yeah.
so like they're like human leader. Like was that kind of like from your kind of like especially from like that chapter one perspective, was that kind of coming from some of your own experience with like that many, of like these dogs?
Not consciously. I
Because
was
it's
I was
cool now you
trying to
say that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted this character that they all, sort of respected and feared, even though their leader is this tiny woman who they could tear apart super easily, would be nothing. But like when she snaps a command, they jump to it right away. No hesitation. It's their dogs.
Yeah. Well, I just want to point out for, for readers or viewers that like the thing that struck me right away, and this is where like if I didn't have so many deadlines right now between now and June, I had to bump my release back just a little bit because of, how it is like art and stuff. Another round of editing, like I was like, oh, I made stupid decisions, so now I have to fix them again. Um, I learned a lot, guys. Let me just say that. But this is why like I got to get back to it by next week because as soon as you started chapter one, I just thought it was so interesting with the psychology between the humans and the war dogs. Like, and this is what I like too, like, in terms of like, your guys like in the shadow of their dying, like, there's just that different feel, like right off the bat of like, exactly, like you feel like, and you can just clearly sense this type of hierarchy like right off the bat. So I just felt like that was really good. Like even if people just check out, like the chapter one sample or whatever, I feel like that's really strong right off the bat. And for me, that really was important to set up the world building,
Right.
and really like feel that. And then, and then when things happen, right? Much like they do in Michael R. Fletcher books, where stuff hits the fan pretty early or, pretty often. I was like, holy crap. And I thought this is what I would do, but it just felt right away, like with her character for Dog Determination and, some of the others that like you could just very clearly tell where, like they're not going to do this because that's just not them. So I just found that so fascinating right off the bat. And for me, it made the War Dogs feel so much more real,
Hmm.
which was super cool. And I really appreciated that. And I know some people have asked me recently, like, what's a good example of somebody that you like who has done this? I also, liked, your non-humanoids within the storm beneath the world, because again, it was like the same type of thing. Like I felt like they were real. You
Yeah.
got these insect people. I felt like they were real, which I thought was
Yeah.
really cool. But I also too like if people read, both stories, right? Like again, both of these species are very different in my opinion, right? So I
Yeah,
thought like,
radically different
yeah,
approaches. I mean,
yeah,
because I had different goals. Like the storm
exactly.
beneath the world, there was um the story I wanted to tell was, obliquely about insects, but not really. It's about
Yeah, yeah,
people. But with Dogged, that story really was about her. It wasn't sort of a like a poke at society by pretending it's about hive insects. It's she is a dog and this is how she gets through life, and her interactions with the humans she runs into were just, yeah, so much fun.
yeah. Well, like both books, I have to say, are fun in the sense that like especially with like Dogged, where I'm like, holy crap, like could this actually happen, right? Like could their leader they're like actually open up like a portal essentially, right? And just pop into Earth, and could we have to deal with these giant war dogs? Like and like it like and I like books like that. And I like when writers can write in that way where I'm like, holy crap, I hope this portal doesn't open, do we have enough bones handy? But yeah, it was super cool. But I like how, again, like your goal was different
Mhm.
for these two species and stories. But I just think it's so cool when people ask me, for like for you guys in the shadow of their dying, like what did you like? I was like, I really liked, like the perspective of the characters, but also like the world felt very real. I
Yeah.
was very stressed reading
And,
that
and
novella.
as and as a demon character was insane.
Oh
It
my
was just
gosh.
so utterly inhuman,
Yep.
stream of consciousness,
Yeah.
rage.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
But
amazing.
I like that. And people ask me like, like for that one or, like, well, what do you like about Mike's writing? And I'm like, I really like where you're able to do that though, where you're able to make me think, yeah, if this character is not human, this actually makes total sense, right? But it really makes me as a writer think too, right? Like I really like the Star Wars universe, I really liked Loyal, right, from Wheel of Time. So and he acts very different than humans, right? And I've always really liked that. So I've taken it as a personal challenge, really, particularly going with the early chapters with Dogged to go back to some characterization on how I'm outlining or trying to write certain characters for both fantasy, sci-fi, really, and urban fantasy too. I have just different non-human characters, and I don't know. That's why I like reading, books like yours, and worlds and characters like that because it really makes me push to think like, am I
Yeah.
really doing something similar? Because that's what I like to read. So
Yeah.
I think
My
that's super
goal
cool.
is always, I don't care about being true to the plot because the plot is bullshit. The plot is the shit that happens, right?
Yeah, yeah,
What's important to me is being true to the character, and if that sends the plot somewhere that either writer kind of wasn't ready to go or didn't want to go, tough shit for me. I have to be true to the character. So
yeah.
I mean, it's a joke, but the characters kind of decide the plot for me.
Yeah.
And if I know the characters, then I can, I can follow them.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what pissed me off about my novellas. Like, I have a couple characters that I thought were totally going to do this. And then, by the time we get going, I'm like, crap. I was like, that was my bad. I misheard, right? Is kind of how it feels. And, it's like, and I know my friends are like, well, can't, I got a couple of non-writer friends who are like, can't you just do this? And I'm like, I really can't. Cause I'm like, now they're telling me that I had it wrong. I got to go, go this way. But I personally appreciate that. I feel like you do that really well. So for readers, or viewers who haven't read your books, I think that, they too would appreciate that. So forget that one person for Dust of the Dead, right? I disagree, and I haven't even read it yet.
Someone hates every book. That's
Yeah,
fine.
well, you look,
He
I
is,
said that to my friend, the Brandon Sanderson, like stats, right? Like how many, it's like ridiculous too. I think it was like Mistborn, like book one, like the amount of 1-star reviews or DNFs. And I got to the end of that book and I thought I was going to experience like an actual heist. And he talks about it in his lectures. And I thought that's why it was like a real heist. And then when stuff happens, and I actually thought it was a cool story, but I had to pause because I was for years thought it was Ocean's 11 fantasy version because that's how he talked about it. And then I found out it was slightly different. So, but it was still a good story. But I think that he had that same thing, right? As it sounded like later, where he had a character, two characters that were like, actually, this is what happens, and where it was changed up. But yeah, but I mean, you have so many times where those people, like, you're not going to please everybody, right? So I tell everybody, just try and please me because I usually like a lot of things people do or can, at least tell what you're trying to do. So I'm a little nicer, I think, for reviews. Now, I think that Dogged's really cool. I'm getting into more where, trying to get stuff away from people, I'm getting more into where you're expanding into the world building, I guess is how the best way to say. So, uh, obviously, right? You're like, oh, I got, this world for Obsidian Path. It's a little easier to insert. I've done that recently myself. But how did you decide where you were going to insert like these war dogs and their kind of like supreme overlord, if you will?
Yeah. So I mean, the nice part about Dogged's backstory is she doesn't know the world she lives on all that well. She
Yeah, yeah.
basically spends all her time in Paltak at the Emperor's palace training and stuff, and then going off and warring in other worlds, other realities. So then it's a great gimmick because it allows the character to discover the world, and which means the reader is discovering it as she does. Now I chose the locations for the story because they were places that the reader hadn't previously been in the other Obsidian Path books.
Cool. Cool.
So you got to see a little more of the heart of the Empire while it's still actually working, rather than the Obsidian Path takes place about 3,000 years after Dogged.
Mm,
So you get to see it at its peak a little bit.
cool.
And then she heads off into the jungles of Azir, and they're mentioned and they're on all the maps in the books, but no part of the story goes there at all.
Yeah.
Although I think there is one of Kren's Demon Emperor flashbacks
Mm.
takes place there, which is nice because it ties in well with the scene that happens in the book.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it was neat because it let me tie the whole thing into other shit that's sort of gone on before. So
Yeah, yeah.
people who know the series well and are paying attention might catch that.
Oh, that's cool. I'm curious, like, because I've talked to quite a few people that, want to do stuff like this. My friend Mark Timoney did, I think, like 2,000 years back for like a prequel novella. How did you kind of decide like how far you were going to go back? Like, I assume it's cool, like you said, right? Like you want to go to where this empire is thriving, but how come you decide to go like that far back?
So that decision was kind of made for me, and I had no idea if this is important or not. I don't want to give anything away, but so basically in the Obsidian Path books, um, it's mentioned that the Empire fell 3,000 years ago,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
and I wanted to set Dogged in that time, like
Oh,
during
that's
the
cool.
fall.
I'm just getting like these fall of the Roman Empire vibes. Oh, that's super cool. You're gonna make me, Mike, miss my deadline because I'm gonna have to go back and start. I told myself like Dogged is my reward for getting both of my anthology stories done.
Mhm.
The rough drafts on time. I have Dogged, and then after that, I have the Sapphire Blade. Right, James Logan. So I'm gonna be pretty well rewarded next week and on vacation the following week. That's super cool. I just think that's a cool idea because, like, for me, and I don't think a lot of people are thinking about this, right? And I had a decision recently where I'm like, I could do a separate series, kind of like Men in Black, but then, and I wanted some sci-fi, but I thought I'm gonna actually add some magic to it and make it like a mix of urban fantasy and have the sci-fi in there, and just yeah, just go there. And I thought like I had a long talk with my friend about it, and we thought this will sell and it'll be super cool. And the blurred lines I think between X Files and Supernatural are pretty good, right? So we were thinking specifically of marketing it as that type of thing for the series within my whole urban fantasy. So when you're thinking about that type of marketing, and it sounds like you kind of were, right? Or just not only trying to pick something interesting to write about, but also giving people kind of like a wider glimpse, right? So when you're doing stuff like this, like kind of picking these new portals and these new places for them to go, are you kind of thinking that those might be places you're going to go in the future, and maybe that kind of helps you, or
Uh,
possibilities for new
yeah,
stories or
I think
places?
that's probably giving me too much credit. Um,
Subconsciously, maybe.
yeah, I don't think about marketing at all.
Hmm.
I barely think about marketing when I'm actually trying to market. When I'm writing, there's zero thought of marketing. It's just I am chasing a story that kind of that I want to get out there.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's no thought of like, oh, this is neat. The reader hasn't seen this before. It's oh, that's a cool spot for this to happen,
yeah,
and it's neat to me because I haven't been there before either.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So it's a chance for me to explore a
yeah.
different part of the world that I've written in, and that's the actual reason. It's less about like, oh, people are going to really enjoy seeing this other part of
Yep.
the world. It's like, nah, fuck those people. It's not about you guys. It's about me.
Well, but I think that's good advice though, right? I always call us a journeyman's podcast. Everybody wants me to interview Brandon Sanderson. Like that guy's got enough people to interview him. I want to talk to a bunch of different people on different levels, right? To learn. And I think that's important because I've had people ask me a lot about this. And when I talked about this decision recently on a different podcast, to combine, and I was like, I just think it's cool to have urban fantasy environment, but I have these two cool characters in mind. And they're going to have like these bloodlines are really going to have a huge play into who gets chosen in my Men in Black organization and why. And then they're going to have powers and stuff develop. And there's just so many cool things you can do. And I thought for me, it's like puzzle pieces fell into place. And
Mhm.
I personally think that, like authors like yourself who are really just doing the cool thing, right? Or the exciting thing for you, I just feel personally that's showing up on the pages, and I think sometimes people think too much about marketing. I was thinking like, ooh, I'm just going to let myself I'm just going to let this fall into place and just do this fun thing. Right.
Yeah.
And then I could
And
probably use it. Right.
there's
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing
But if
wrong
you're
with
having
writing to
fun,
market, and
yeah, yeah,
there are people who are good at it
I'm
and
not.
enjoy it. Yeah, I'm not. To me, it's like I wait until I have an idea that will not leave me alone. And that's how I know what I'm going to write. Like I don't take notes when I have ideas. I never, ever, ever write them down. I'm not like, oh, I'm afraid I might forget this brilliant idea because if I forgot it, it wasn't brilliant, it wasn't any good. So I never write anything down. And it's the idea that's been pestering me for the last 6 months. That's the one that's going to get written. Dust of the Dead, I had this crazy idea for a world, crazy idea for a magic system. And I was like, this is such a bad idea, but I loved it so much. I'm going to write it because
Yeah.
I love it. And this is, I can't remember what I was writing. I was finishing some other book while sort of world building Dust of the Dead. And I just was like, come on, I just want to finish this shitty fucking book so I can write this cool one over here, but by the time I'm finishing that, I'm excited about something else, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. So yeah, it's I think you're more likely to do something interesting and different if you're sort of if you're pushing yourself a bit.
Well, I have to say, Mike, I totally agree, and I think like that was a couple years ago. He gave me that advice. When I think it was maybe our first interview. Like, yeah, don't take notes. Like, just go with this thing. And I think it was before we got recording, and then we talked about it during the interview. But yeah, like that's for me. Like when I have my urban fantasy stuff and sci-fi, I'm just gonna clump everything in here because I have different worlds and different things and different creatures and people from those worlds in my urban fantasy. And I had this great idea of like this small D&D band, but it's a sci-fi version, and it's like like kind of like our own version of Space Force, but nobody actually knows about it, and it's a mixture of aliens in our solar system and stuff. And then that's kind of what stuck me is I was like, oh, I really want to do these two things, this Men in Black organization and this thing, but have them be in the same world. And my friend and I were like, why don't we just combine them? And then it already fits into my urban fantasy setting. And then all of a sudden it was just like, holy crap. But it's like those two ideas have been with me literally since before I started this podcast. And now all of a sudden I'm like, this is about to be freaking awesome because it's just all in one setting, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's just really, really good advice. It's that idea that keeps nagging at you, right? Yeah, I think that's really valuable. But speaking of Dust of the Dead, I just want to remind people you can find Mike's links for Dogged and everything down in the description. Anywhere we're watching or listening to this interview, you guys can also check out by the time this episode releases my review as well. So make sure you check out that link. But make sure you guys definitely check out Dogged and Mike's progress in SPFBO 11. But speaking of Dust of the Dead. And again, love the cover, absolutely amazing. I feel like it really sets the tone like right off the bat. And I feel like you always do a good job conveying those types of, feelings and things like that, or the things you want us to feel in these great covers behind you. But for Dust of the Dead, how did you come up with this idea? Like, where did this idea for this book come from?
I unfortunately, because of what it is, because of what the world is, I can't really talk about it because
Oh, that's fine.
I don't want to spoil it.
Surprise! I love surprises, Mike.
Yeah, it was one of those. What if they thought the magic was one thing, but it was something completely different? And that
You're gonna
basically,
Elantris me, aren't you? I like it.
yeah. And a couple of people have figured it out. A couple of the authors who read early drafts, Mark Lawrence messaged me and went, "The world is this, isn't it? The magic is this, right?" I was like, "Fuck yes!"
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
What a
but
great sell.
most people, you can read the book and not catch any of that, and it's just a cool fantasy story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is why I always interview. I like interviewing people before I read their stuff because I feel like it's like the director's cut. And then now I just feel like I enjoy stuff. Like I get the double, right? I get the reader version, but then I get the writer version. And I feel like there's two halves of me. And all of a sudden it's like when I enjoy something like that, it's like, yeah, it's just like just a better experience overall. And I love surprises. That actually, I was already going to read it, Meg, but now, yeah, that sounds amazing. Uh, I like that too. Speaking of marketing, I can't tell you buy my book. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Well,
It's
yeah.
a cool cover.
Yep.
Might as well buy it just for the cover. I think just look on the
The,
Kindle
the
and then
cover
read
is
it and then
good.
review it. So Mike can write more books. But that's super cool. Maybe that's where it's cool. That's cool. So Mark Lawrence was beta reading for you or alpha reading or
Yeah. So it was like a finished draft.
yeah yeah yeah
Not really different than what's going to be published. I basically was looking for writers, known writers, looking for somebody to say something nice about the book I could slap on the cover.
oh yeah yeah yeah
And so, you reach out to a bunch.
yep
Most of them are like, I don't have the time, and it's totally fair.
yeah yeah
I don't have the time either.
yeah
But I guess I caught Mark at the right time.
cool
And yeah, he read it actually like fairly quickly. Um, and really enjoyed it. Said some great stuff. I actually had
that's
to
awesome
sort of go through and try and figure out what bit to put on the cover.
yeah yeah
Because they sent me a paragraph talking
oh
about the
that's
book.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Well, I just want to point that out for our audience. I just thought of this because I tend to this podcast has just been about that, honestly. Like, I just tend to ask people. Now it's kind of nice because, like, I know people like you, right? But like, I didn't at first, and I loved your guys' podcast. So I approached you for season one, Dirk, and then Rob for season two. But it's like there's so many people. Like, I never would have met people or known people, and it was cool. Like, got invited to one anthology, talk to people about what I'm doing, and it was just cool. Like, people are like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I actually thought I was gonna have to like beg more people or beg to be part of stuff, right? So I think it's cool where you can just ask people things, particularly just in the book community, and you just
Yeah,
never know. And
that's a
I think
great
people
community.
sometimes get too bogged down between indie and trad, right? Like, oh, I can't ask them they're trad, or I can't ask them they're indie. And
Yeah,
I talk to
they're
everybody, and it's
real
like,
writers.
yeah, yeah, everybody's just so freaking cool and just wants to be helpful or help people share stuff or whatever. I had a trad published author, and they were like, "Oh, well, you don't really do this, right?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm just like interviewing people who want to be interviewed, or people like you, where I'm like, I really want to talk about Dogged, or really want to talk about Dust of the Dead, or SBFBO or whatever, or just catch up or whatever." So I'm kind of lucky, right? I could just talk to whoever at this point, and it's been really cool. But I just think that that's really neat that you're just like, "Yep, I'm going to do this," and I think it's really good because nothing gets done that way, and you got a yes. So I always tell people, you might as well ask. The
Yep.
least someone's going to do is say no, or
Yep.
not right
I
now, or
send
something.
out a ton of review copies. Like most of the last couple of weeks was sending out review copies. I have no idea who's going to read them. Maybe
Yeah, yeah.
nobody. You never know. I sort of have this rule where once a review copy goes out, I will not pester that person. I will not poke them and say, "Hey, have you read?" I will not contact them at all. I'm just like, the review copy goes out, and if they review it, amazing. If they read it a year, 2 years from now, fucking awesome. I'm happy whenever your review drops anytime. It's great. So
No,
I
I,
think you
I totally
gotta
get you. Well, and
put a
that's like
lot of
people like
past.
you, who sent me stuff. I just got this long list. I'm just like so excited just to be like when my novella comes out, even if you don't read it or it's not your jam, I'm just gonna send it to people just because as like a thank you for, coming on here or sending me cool stuff or, just being part of the community. For me, it's just like super fun. Anytime someone sends me, people send me book mail all the time now and like physical and stuff. I do videos.
Yeah.
I got a bunch to post actually from the last couple of months. But it's just like super cool for me to like, yeah, like write everybody's information down and be like, just look at this growing list and be like, oh, this is about to be awesome. And it just feels good, right? To be part of a community. So I totally understand that. But I always appreciate when you send me a book, Mike. But I'm like about 45% of the way through Storm Beneath the World, so I'm definitely wrapping that one up. I have the In the Shadow of Their Dying. Actually, I just realized I actually do have that one filmed. I just have to fix it in post and then put that review up. But that's like for me, like if someone's sending me a review copy, especially if I always review it right away as soon as I read it. But like I have a couple people that I realized had sent me like paperbacks, and I was kind of waiting for their audio, but it didn't come out in time. And now my son, it's easier. Like now he's not knocking the book out of my hands like he used to. So it's a little easier for me to read the physical copies. Yeah, but yeah, it's kind of nice, like just going back and then being like, hey, I did read it. I reviewed it. And then I'm also doing a video. Thanks for being patient with me and my 3-year-old. But I agree. I have people talk to me a lot about this. And like before we got started, I'd sent out, you know, just to ask a couple people I knew, to fill in for the anthology and stuff that we're doing, and like me and Ben Shankman and my friend Alan Silverwood, and it's like a couple. I can't find. I only found. Hopefully by now this pops out. I have more female authors, but it was so hard because everybody I asked was just so good, and they were just like in the midst of so many projects and stuff. So they're like, oh, I really wish I could. I just can't right now, sort of thing. So I don't even consider that a no, really. But yeah, I definitely don't think you can be upset because everybody, particularly right now, is really trying to, whether it's indie or traditional, right? They're just trying to write as many things and get all those things out there. I just feel like it's a really hard industry to be in at any time, but now especially with the algorithms and just like the fluctuations of stuff, yeah, it just gets harder and harder. But I think that's a really valuable lesson though, is like do your best and be cool to people, and generally they're pretty cool back, right? But sweet. All right. So I know we're a little bit over halfway, and I know it's hard, to talk about, book fours, anything really after really book one, right? But do you mind if people have not, in case they've been living under a rock, I'll just say it, Mike. Do you mind just kind of recapping a little bit of the Obsidian Path in case people have not checked out Blackstone Heart or anything like that yet? Just kind of give us, if you don't mind, just a quick recap or quick selling
Uh,
points.
hmm.
I know,
Yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, because of the
so
way
mean.
those stories are structured, um, they're very much discovery sort of stories. You learn, you discover the world along with the character. So, talking about what he learns, it kind of spoils shit.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
would you mind just letting us? Sorry, I guess I didn't phrase that very well. I was dealing with crazy kids all day. Do you mind just telling us a little bit about Blackstone Heart, kind of like where he starts? Sorry, in this 4-book series.
yeah, so it's this character has been dead for a very long time. He wakes up in his grave. He sort of like claws his way out. Um, he's got no memory. He has no idea who he is, no idea who he was. He's sort of more feral animal than human at this point. He sort of chases a rabbit into the woods because he's hungry. He's trying to kill it with his bare hands.
Been there.
Um, at some point, he finds another person and he's drawn to them. They've got something in their chest that he has to have. He kills them and claws this little shard of obsidian out of their heart. And when he takes it into himself, he learns more of who he was. And so his heart, his obsidian, his black stone heart, has been shattered and littered across the world. And the story is him collecting the pieces of his stone heart, remembering who he was.
It's awesome. And then people, if you're on our, visual format, you can actually see book one there. You can actually see through it there, but you can see book one's on the back left there. Amazing cover, right? Like that was Felix, right? That did that one.
Yeah, all three were
All
Felix.
three, sorry. Yeah, amazing work. That's definitely one of my favorites, though. I mean, you always have really cool covers, but it's hard
Yeah.
for me. It's like that one or Dust of the Dead. It's kind of hard at this point.
Yeah.
I like
I've
them both.
been lucky to
Yeah,
work with some amazing artists.
yeah.
It's kind of a dream come true for me because I mean, all I really want is to make cool looking books.
Yeah. No, that's like someone asked me that. Someone said that the other day to me, and they're like, "Well, what like?" Because I'm just like struggling to finish this draft. Like I don't know why. Like you know how it is. Sometimes you just like screw up, and you're just like you just have to untangle the threads. It just takes too long. But I'm like, it's gonna be really cool when it's done. But like my friend's like, well, you got like the second one pretty much done. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna make some changes and from this one and kind of add and stuff. But yeah, like my students ask me all the time, they're like, how long has it been taking you for this novella? I'm like, probably like 4.5 years. I've written 3 other books. I'm like going through the editing process this summer for them. And then one of my students is like, you wrote like a 450-page book, right? Like you just rough draft. Like, why is this? I'm like, I don't know because it's only 32,000 words. I'm about to bust out this 10K tonight, the rest of it, and I'm just like about to bust out another 5 this week. I'm like, I don't know. It's like some stories, right?
Yeah,
But they asked
and
me like, what keeps you going? And I'm like, I literally was thinking because I was just reading Dogged that day. This was like about a week and a half ago, and like somebody else's book too from the indie community. I'm like blanking. But I was like, covers look amazing. The books are great, and people are talking about them. And like I know people have read them and enjoyed them. Like as I mean, like we talked about, and a couple other people, and I'm like, that's what I want. Like, money would be great, fame and fortune, whatever, but like to just create cool stuff like the rest of you, like literally keeps me going where I'm going to look at this draft for like, the 10,000th time to try and, to fix some things, right? To like, and I had the cover back. It looks cool. Kind of propelled me. Did an updated one. So it kind of propelled me a little, but I agree. Like just creating cool stuff and having people, be attracted to it, I think is just kind of like the dream, so to speak, on top of finishing and getting stuff out there. But yeah.
yeah,
I gotta say, Mike, just saying, like your books, whether reading or just seeing them, right, and how they're put together, or seeing your Kickstarters, I'm like, I want to be that when I grow up, and I want to do that, But you know what I mean, like because it's just like if people haven't checked out your Kickstarters, they really should because holy crap, talk about cool products, you know. Particularly, you know, your last two, I would say, like, were just super, super cool. And that's like what kind of got me like inspired to just to say a couple people, hey, do you want to just try this thing? You know, if it goes well, sure, we can do it. If not, we'll just do it and whatever. But yeah, like it's cool, I think, to see people just doing cool things. Because for me, it's just natural culture diffusion. And you know, in reading stories like Dogged, or you know, like you and Anna for the In the Shadow They're Dying, like holy moly, like and you know people might not have read that novella, but you guys really should, because that just like completely changed how I like do everything. And I think that's pretty cool personally, like as a writer, right? As I'm reading your guys' work, or I'm reading, you know, Dogged, even like the first couple chapters, I'm like, it just like completely like revamps and it revitalizes me, you know. And people ask, why do you read so much still in, you know, try to write so much? And I'm like, I feel like I'm in a good balance now. And I feel like if I'm not intaking cool ideas like yours, you know, I'm not going to evolve at all. So I would really recommend people to do that, you know, and step out of their comfort zone a little. But when you know, when you're talking about the Obsidian Path, though, and I think I've always thought this was a cool, you know, series that you have here. Why did you go with kind of that discovery aspect, you know, like in terms of the stories?
Uh, so, um, once again, this isn't me making a decision. So, uh, I the Obsidian Path, the whole story is lifted from a Stormbringer campaign I ran back in the 90s, a tabletop role playing game. And so that scene where the character wakes up and claws his way out of the earth, that is just taken from one of the moments in the campaign. Um, and so that kind of, because that's where I decided I wanted to start it. So I'm starting it like years into the campaign, because the campaign ran for many years. I didn't start at the beginning of the campaign. I started the book in the middle of the campaign. And that really just decided it for me, because he didn't remember anything. It was it had to be a discovery because he needed to learn all this stuff. It is a great gimmick, and totally is a gimmick. But it wasn't me going, "Ooh, I have a cool gimmick," or "I'm going to do this cool gimmick." It was just like, "Here's how the story starts. That means this. So now I follow the character in the story." And it's not about like, "Oh, this is going to be really cool." It's just like, this is how the story is going to go.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. That's like I have a campaign like, and I like had a book, but it's like, yeah, I had to pick, right? Because I was like, I have this thing that needs to happen, and then yeah, I kind of just like Discovery wrote, and I like kind of wrote through with the like these two characters, and through that, like they kind of told me the story, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, and like all of a sudden I was like, oh, it makes sense for where we were in our physical campaign, and I was like, I can do this, you know, this new world essentially, and kind of go there. So I think I totally get what you're saying. I just think that's smart, because again, you're going with what's interesting to you and what's cool, you know, and allows you to tell a good story. So I just think that like if we're gonna give writing advice, right, like that's really good advice, I think. Um, and you know, I think that that's really a good place for people to start. You know, just to yeah, go with what you're interested in. Because I feel like I've been so blessed this year and last year to read like amazing work from people, but you could just tell they just love what they were reading. You know, just like flows off the page. So I think if we can all do that, right, like get really good books and really good stories out of it. But that's super cool. Well, I want to just remind people that you know you can check out the link in the description for the Lord of the Empty Mirror, which is book 4 of the Obsidian Path. So make sure you also check that out. That's also an amazing cover. So Felix did that one too.
No, so
Oh, sorry, it was a different person, right? Yep.
yeah, Thomas Reiger.
Oh,
So Thomas
sweet.
Reiger, I hired him. The first cover he did for me was Dogged,
Love that too.
and it was funny. So I sent him an art. I found him an art station. I sent him a
Mm.
brief describing the cover I want, and he came back with like his sort of rough sketch, and he basically ignored everything I said and did something so much cooler.
I
And
love
I was
that.
like, yes,
That's how you know you found the right person,
yeah.
right?
I'm like, let's do your thing because it's better.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did the cover for Dogged, and then when it came time to, find an artist for the Lord of the Empty Mirror, I had literally just worked with him for Doggett, so I was like,
That's cool.
dude, are you available? And he was. So send him an art brief for that.
Yeah.
Again, he sort of kind of took my idea and went, okay, but this is how you actually need to show this, and sent back. And so it's a front back cover full spread.
Oh, sweet.
The paperback, you'll be able to see the entire thing.
Oh, cool.
Very cool. And then he's also currently working on the cover for an End to Sorrow, the Insanity edition, the Kickstarter.
Oh, sweet.
He's doing the cover for book 3 now, so that's
Oh, that's
in the
awesome.
works.
That's cool. I gotta be honest with you, Mike. If I ever win the lottery and start my own publishing company, I'm gonna throw gobs of money at you to try and be my like art scout. Because like,
Mhm.
I mean, you always like end
I
up
have been
finding
very
really good
lucky. Yeah,
people.
I will spend a couple of days on ArtStation,
Yeah.
just going through looking for, so for Dogged, I was like, it's kind of a werewolf-y kind of thing,
Yeah.
a little bit. So I just typed in werewolf and I started looking at people's werewolf art. I found 6 different artists who had done really cool uh, werewolf-esque stuff.
Oh, cool.
Reached out to all 6, sent the messages saying, hey, I'm nobody. I've written a book. I need art. If you could let me know what your rates are and how your availability is. Um, and several of them were, I mean, they're fantastic artists, but they were
Yeah.
way out of my budget.
Oh, yeah.
And because, I'm not independently wealthy by any stretch. So, and Thomas was like, top of my budget, but it was like, he did really cool stuff. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And, it's kind of what it's about is having fun and being happy and being, proud of what I'm putting out there.
Yeah, though it's like I haven't finished the book yet, but I had an opportunity to get an amazing artist for my urban fantasy for like my Monster Hunter series for book 1, and I was afraid. I like had the money saved and set aside, and that was the same thing as it was a little up compared to what I wanted to do, but I was like, you know what, like this is gonna be amazing, and I had seen them. Tom Edwards of Tom Edwards Design. If you guys are on Instagram, amazing artist. And he's done a lot of really cool indie books that have actually been in SBFBO the last several years, just by happenstance and stuff. But like, it was so cool because he had this one red that he used in a mixture, and I was like, that was what I saw in my brain, right? Was like this it's called Hunter's Moon, right? It's like October and stuff. And I just saw it in my head, and that's the same thing as I sent it to him, and he was like, yeah, let's do this thing. I'm like, sweet. And he's like, yeah, I got this first time author rate. I'm like, awesome. And holy crap, I was not expecting, like, he did the same thing. He took a basic idea and just ran with it. We met 2 other times, met virtually or whatever, and corresponded. And he just like, yeah, I'm like so excited for people to see that, because that's what I'm working on this summer to finalize for next year. And I just cannot wait to do the cover reveal like in the fall this upcoming year. It's gonna be awesome. So, but yeah, like, so I assume that Thomas is gonna, for you is gonna be like blow up like Felix, because I feel like every time you find
It's
somebody,
hilarious. I mean, because
every
I
time,
keep finding these new artists, and
yeah,
I get a couple of book covers out of them, and then they kind of blow up, and like the rates,
yeah, yeah.
I can't afford them anymore.
Well, that was your Kickstarter, right? Was it? I cannot believe I'm blanking on the artist. Oh,
Oh, Peng
was it?
Peng Lu did the first book.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's what happened there, right? It was all of a
Yep.
sudden everybody, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Because I
And
saw people, they're like, "That's Mike's artist," and then, yeah, I asked, and he was,
yeah,
they're like, "I'm too busy." I was like, "Oh, that's fair." Like, I was like, "Mike found you," so I just knew it
yeah,
was gonna happen.
yeah. Oh, my very first artist who did The Mayor's Truth and Ghosts of Tomorrow.
Oh,
Was my wife's uh, sister-in-law's nephew. And it was like, oh, he does art. And I'm like, whatever. But
oh, I
he
remember you
actually turns
saying
out to
that.
be cool stuff.
Yeah,
John Anthony DiGiovanni.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he did those 2, and then just sort of exploded.
Yep,
Like last I heard, he's working for Disney.
yep,
Like he did stuff on the Barbie movie. I think he's done some Star Wars stuff. Like
yeah.
just astronomical. And then started working with Felix. I think he did, I can't remember, 3 or 4 book covers for me. No, 6. And then like he, kind of exploded,
Yeah, yeah,
which is, I mean, it's amazing for them and I love it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like it's, I'm constantly having to go hunting for a new artist
yeah,
because they explode, but my budget, it ain't
yeah. Doesn't
exploding.
explode. Yeah,
I have about the same budget as I did,
yeah.
before. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
spending
yeah.
more than
No,
that.
yeah.
I'm like,
Oh,
I
that's
gotta
like
buy groceries.
that's why I was trying to explain to a few friends. I was like, like, because I said I was like, well, this is what Mike has done, and like that's like Tom was given to me. Tom Edwards was given to me by somebody, because I didn't know like who would. I just said, hey, I like this artist, and I was having trouble actually, like for some reason, like finding like his like website or whatever. So luckily, I knew a couple authors, artists on Instagram, and I was like, "Hey, do you know this person?" They're like, "I do know that person." So luckily, they were able to connect me with his profile and stuff. But so I didn't have to do as much searching as I have had in the past. But yeah, I was like all on ArtStation, like you said. I was like, I had like this big old
Stalking
list, like
artists.
25, yeah, 25 people. Yeah, so I was kind of glad that they gave me time because I was like, otherwise, I'd still be probably looking for something like that or trying to get something done. Yeah, it's definitely a process, but yeah, I always recommend ArtStation to people. I've found some
Yeah,
absolutely like
that's amazing.
amazing comic stuff on there. I still would love to do like a
Yeah.
even like a one issue, like Kickstarter. That's like what I wanted to first do years ago, was like illustrating and stuff. But now I'd like to just write. But I would love to still do that just to like check off my, like my bucket list, so to speak. But yeah, I bet I have so many cool ones. My wife will be looking like over my shoulder or something. She's like, "What is that?" I was like, "That's my comic book artist. Hopefully one day, like or colorist or something like that."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always
Yeah.
hard to find good
You
people,
know,
right? Because then when they're good, everybody wants them, and
yeah.
yeah, sometimes
For
it
the
doesn't go within
artists
the
out
budget.
there, get yourself an ArtStation page. The
Yeah,
number of artists who reach out and say, "Hey, I'm an artist. I'm doing, are you looking for? I do illustrations. Do you want to hire me for?" And because I'm constantly hiring artists, like I'm getting interior illustrations done for regular
hmm,
books, for full color stuff for the Kickstarter editions,
yeah, yeah.
book covers, like constantly hiring artists. And I'm always like, okay, give me a link to your portfolio, your ArtStation. And the number of them who don't have an online portfolio or an ArtStation page. And they're like, oh, I'll just email you a bunch of pictures. Fuck off. No, no.
That's crazy.
Like, set up a portfolio, get an
Yeah,
ArtStation. If you want to be an artist,
yeah.
make yourself discoverable.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, I said that I had a kid that was on DeviantArt, and then now he's like graduated and he's taking like classes for the college and stuff. But that's like he's like, yeah, but I said it to him years ago when he was my student at another school, and now we're in like a big old district kind of thing, where it's like collection and stuff. So he had just happened to come to the school I'm at now, right before me, and I saw him. He's like, yeah, you're teaching here now. I'm like, yeah. He's like, because like we're at the our community college in our town. But yeah, he was telling me, and he goes, yeah, I switched from DeviantArt, which you used to tell me to do in like middle school and high school. He goes, now I'm on ArtStation. So I was like sending his stuff out to people,
Yeah.
yeah, to like, to try and help him out and stuff. But I know a couple people took him up on it. But it's funny because my friend, we were just had dinner this weekend, and his daughter wants to do art. He's like, well, probably not for her degree or whatever. And I was like, why not? I was like, I know what I pay artists. I was like, I know you got to be busy and, find people, but I'm like, I need art all the time. So I was
Yeah.
like, I told him, especially with Kickstarter and stuff, I said, I could probably, if she's good enough, I could probably hook her up with gigs all the time,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's
My
crazy. But
daughter she is going to be an artist. Like
your daughter has really good art though. I remember you
yeah.
showed us before. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there was a moment of like, oh, are you crazy? Like artist, what about? And then I was
Then
like,
you wrote
hold
that
on,
check.
how much did I spend in art this year? Oh fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, go for it. I'm kind of hoping I can hire her.
I was gonna say, yeah, keep it in the family. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Here's that money. Here's that dad. What is this? Oh, it's the dad tag. Sorry, took 10% off. Just that's what my friend said about his son. He was like, yeah, he goes, I'm hoping he gets into fantasy and sci-fi. He goes, right now he's like just doing like kind of like fiction covers and stuff
Yeah.
in art. And I was like, well, let me know. Like, I was like, I'll definitely hire him. He does good stuff. That's awesome. But yeah, I hope that she does that, and I hope you get just everything you need, all the art for the Kickstarters and everything. That's super awesome. That's really cool. So I know we're kind of winding, down on time here, Mike, but I just want to, point out to people again, in case you guys are checking us out at the end here, because we're going to talk about news updates, things like that, and kind of recap on, what Mike has going on. But again, Mike, good luck with Dogged. I look forward truly like finishing up next week, and I can't wait to do the review for that one. I love that cover, by the way. Like as soon as I saw that, I was like, this is just really cool. So again, great job finding that artist. But good luck with the, SBFBO 11. And like I said before, like if you need anything, for like Dust of the Dead or something like that, if you want to, knock a 6 season slot off, I can always pop you really early. I think I'll be like maybe 4 or 5 weeks, like depending on where you're at. Release it in August, so we can always chat about that later. Love having veterans of the podcast. Love having you guys on, from just really from Wizard Wars Words, or just you and I chatting about your great books and things like that. So please keep me in the mind for the book tour and stuff like that, coming early fall. Good luck with you and Clayton too. I can't wait to check that out. Yeah, and if nobody has checked out your guys' other co-authored book, for it's Noriska, right?
Norilska Groans, yeah.
Noriska
So,
Grows. I knew I should have checked it again before I said it
like
earlier. Right on time.
1920s noir Russian fantasy.
Yeah. Super cool. So make sure you guys check that out as well. And then you and Anna also have In the Shadow of Their Dying. That was like gotta be one of the best novellas I've read.
Yeah,
And I read a lot of novellas. So
that
for
one
me
was
to say like,
shortlisted for a World Fantasy Award. It's kind of crazy.
oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
that's super cool. But well deserved though, like for sure. So I definitely want to make sure people check that one out as well. But yeah, if there's anything you need in the meantime, Mike, or anything you need shared or something, just message me, share with me, and I'll get it out there for you.
Yeah,
But
awesome.
before we
Thanks,
wrap up, Mike, do you mind just kind of again just telling people in case they're checking us out at the very end here, kind of just what you got going on in terms of news and updates before we head out for the day.
Sure. So it's always, books. So Dog had dropped in December of last year, 2025. April, this is going to drop in June. So
Yep.
April, The Lord of the Empty Mirror, that's the Obsidian Path #4. That will be published in April, sort of mid-April. Dust of the Dead will be out in August. Long Island Memorial, real world horror novel, written with Clayton Snyder. Don't have a publishing date yet for that, but probably a bit later in the year once we've sort of, scraped together the cash for an artist. We'll
Which
get that going. So
yeah,
yeah, the way I do it, I don't book releases
yeah.
until art and editing, everything is done.
Yep. Oh, so you're smarter than me, Mike. That makes total sense. I
I
had
fucked it up once and was like, I'm not doing that
yeah.
again.
I had a couple people ask me, they're like, "Hey, you were on my list to getting back to me." I was like, "I am so sorry." I was like, "My life has been insane over this last school year." I was like, "I just can't even." I was like, "I just got to finish these other things." Yeah, so like my friends asked about updated cover reveal because I had talked to them. I was like, "They're like, have you gotten it back?" I'm like, "Yep." I was like, "But I'm not doing that till I get the final edits back in." My
Yeah.
friend's gonna help me like format the book. So I was like, "Just got to be
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
patient."
I wait until
Um,
the book's formatted, everything
yeah,
is to the point where I could literally publish it that day. Then
yeah.
I say, okay, 3 months from now, release.
That's fair. Well, Mike, I really appreciate that advice too, because I'm definitely going to be smarter in the future. So that's like I had a friend and he's like, "Oh, you got this dark fantasy novella." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's going to be fully prepped this summer, and then I'm going to actually do stuff the smart way." So yeah, I totally agree with that. Well, like I said, Mike, if there's anything else we can do in the meantime, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you. Share stuff for the contest or just news and updates, things like that. But yeah, other than that, my friend, hope you have a good rest of the day and happy writing.
Yeah, thanks, man. And
Awesome.
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, anytime. And to our audience, just don't forget, just one more time, please make sure you check out the description. You can find Mike's book and social links down in that description anywhere where you're watching or, listening to this podcast. If you guys could just make sure that you do like me, even if it takes you, forever to read Mike's books or any of our authors or creatives on here, if you guys could just make sure that once you do review them, because that's going to be the number one thing that helps all of them, whether they're traditionally published or indie published, especially in these crazy algorithm times. So if you guys could continue to make that the theme over in the audience, we would really appreciate that. Thank you everybody for coming, and Mike, thank you so much. Hope you have a good rest of the day, my friend.
Cheers, man.